At Hometown, one aspect of our vision is to become a radically generous church. Why would that be a part of our vision? Because it's something we see demonstrated throughout God's Word. Radical generosity, as we see it in the Bible, goes beyond expectation and beyond obedience. It involves sacrificial, unexpected, or even socially disruptive acts of kindness, mercy, and giving. Here are a few examples we see in the Scriptures. In Mark 12:41-44, a poor widow gives 2 small coins, which is everything she had to live on. She radically gives out of her poverty, not her abundance. Jesus saw it, noted it, and praised her as giving more than the wealthy because she gave all she had. In John 12:1-8, a woman pours out a jar of perfume worth a year's wages to anoint Jesus. It was extravagant, socially criticized, and deeply personal, demonstrating her love, devotion, and gratitude to Jesus. In Luke 10:25-37, Jesus tells of a Samaritan who helps a wounded Jew after religious leaders pass him by. He bandages the man's wounds, takes him to an inn, and pays for not just his current medical care, but offers to cover his future medical needs as well. This was wildly generous considering how the Samaritan's care crosses ethnic, religious, and social boundaries at his own personal cost. In the book of Acts, chapters 2 and 4, we see a crazy generous early church in action. Christians didn't just tithe and give a portion, they sold their property and possessions and gave all the proceeds to the disciples while also meeting each other's daily needs as well. This was an incredibly generous church that God blessed, and they were growing daily because of it. And finally, the main act of radical generosity we see in the Bible is in Jesus' life and death. As Philippians 2:5-8 puts it, though he was God, he gave up his divine privileges. He took the humble position of a slave and was born as a human being. When he appeared in human form, he humbled himself in obedience to God and died a criminal's death on a cross. Jesus was such a generous giver. He gave up his privilege and position, he gave up his rights, and he gave up his life. With all these amazing biblical examples, we think God would want us to grow in generosity and become more like these people Jesus noted, more like the early church that flourished, and more like Jesus himself. In light of that, back in 2020, we thought God would want us to pursue a God-sized, faith-requiring goal to raise $3 million for Kingdom Builders by 2025. That has taken faith to say out loud every time it's been shared, but even more so now. To date, we are grateful to have raised $1.79 million, but that leaves just over $1.2 million to go by year-end. If each of us takes not just a step, but a leap of faith towards the kind of generosity we see demonstrated in our Bibles, it's still possible. So may we cooperate with God in the ways He might want to work personally in each of us.